Hi friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com again, and a few days ago I did a video comparing a new deck that I got as a gift courtesy of Richard Boo, the Minchiate Alcigno, C-I-G-N-O. I think the G is silent, so I think I'm saying it properly. Alcigno. Anyway, I received that and it inspired me to take out all my other Minchiates, or at least the ones I think I have. I could have more, but those are the ones I found. And I compared the 40 special cards. So there were trump cards as well as additional cards, which I discussed in the previous video. But because there were so many cards, and I was comparing 6 decks, I neglected to do the pip cards. So I thought today might be a fun time to do the pip cards, comparing the pip cards of these particular 6 decks. So we have the Minchiate Etruria from 1725, this production published by Il Meneghello. We have the Minchiate Alcigno, which is the newest one I have, and it's Bologna, 1775. The Minchiate Etruria, also by Lo Scarabeo, as was this one. And the date is 1806 to 1807. Both of these 2 decks are part of the Anima Antiqua series. The Minchiate Fiorentine by Marco Benedetti, and there's no specific date on this. He has a general date of, let me see. Through the 16 through 1800s, so I don't know. So I've put that one next. Then we have another Fiorentine Minchiate by Il Meneghello. And this one is dated the 19th century, so sometime in the 1800s. And then we have the $20 Spencer's Minchiate. Now, some of you have mentioned that you're not sure if it appears on their website, but if you go to spencers.com, I think it's spencers.com, type in tarot or Minchiate, it will pop up. Now the description may say there's only 78 cards, because most people just know that there's 78 cards to a tarot deck, and the person who wrote up the blurb might not be a tarot person, so they're not aware that it's really a 97 card deck, right? Although my box, I misspoke earlier. I said that my box only had 78 written on it, but my box does say 97. But the picture on the Spencer's website does show the specialty cards that would not appear unless it was a Minchiate. So it's still available, and it's $20. And I think you'll see that when we compare it to these other decks, it's actually based on this Alcigno deck. I really do, because they seem to be very similar. And then of course it's got all those red dots that we're accustomed to seeing in the Bolognese decks, which is where the Alcigno is from. So it kind of further solidifies that in my mind. So let me flip the camera and let's take a look at the pips. Okay, so the odd man out of this collection of aces of coins, and it's not the usual order I put my cards in, but most of them were already in this order. Must have been from the publisher, so I left it that way and accommodated the other decks to match. The one deck that doesn't seem to match any of the cards it's out with is the Minchiate Fiorentine by Il Meneghello. Its ace is a little different. It's got a pastoral scene. It's got a coin, a single coin with perhaps a fleur-de-lis and a lion and a crown. Now, 2 match, three others also match. The Alcigno seem to match. The Carte Fine Benedetti by Marco Benedetti seem to be based on the same thing. They have the same artistic elements, as does the Spencer. Okay, now bear in mind that the Spencer is, not the cardstock quality of either of these other decks, nor is it as refined or as beautiful as these other two. But you can see for sure that it follows the same trend as the Alsigna and the Marco Benedetti Minchiate Fiorentine, or Minchiate Fiorentine. The two Etrurias, one by Il Meneghello and the other by Lo Scarabeo, those coins are similar. And in a way, they're similar to what we just saw in the Il Meneghello Fiorentine, in that there's a pastoral scene. It's not the same, but it's a pastoral scene. And we have a crown. But the coin, the image on the coin is quite different. So I think we're going to see similarities. Okay, in the Etrurias, same coins for the two of coins. Marco Benedetti, the Lo Scarabeo El Signo, and the Spencer Tarot Minchiate deck. You can see they draw their inspiration from the same source. And also bear in mind when we see this pattern. Now some card makers, and I think Marco also has done this, in honor of how the cards were made by some people. When you see this kind of thing on the edge, it was by the card makers to like fold over a layer of card paper, right, to make the edges a little more durable. Now this is just done visually, it's not done actually, but in some decks that Marco has made, he has actually folded it over. I don't happen to have an example of that, but I think other card makers have also done that in modern times to, recreate the authenticity. Okay, and then again, the Minchiate Fiorentine by Il Meneghello is the odd man out with the two of coins. Right? We saw a different two of coins. Okay, the three of coins, again, the Minchiate Etruria and the two Etrurias by Il Meneghello and Lo Scarabeo are the same. And I think we're probably going to see this across the board. And then again, the three of coins from Alsigno, Benedetti's, and Spencer's, all are sourced, it seems, from the same inspiration deck. Now bear in mind that the Spencer's deck has the names of the cards, whereas the original cards, or the other cards, do not. And I think that's because Spencer's really makes an effort to accommodate people at what they're looking at. Whereas the other card makers realize that if you're buying a deck from them, you're probably well versed enough in the antique decks that you probably know what you're looking at. And I guess the Spencer's deck doesn't make those assumptions. Okay, and then again, of course, the Minchiate Fiorentine by Il Meneghello is a little different. Since we're probably not going to, but look at this. Now here, the Minchiate Fiorentine does match the Etrurias with the elephant in the center, with a rider who appears to be about to do harm to the elephant. Oh my gosh. Although the angle, if he lets loose, maybe it won't get the elephant. Gosh, I hope he's not about to hurt the elephant. Oh my gosh. faces on the coins, however, do vary, but the image of a person on an elephant do match. So it's the first time the Fiorentine Minchiate by Il Meneghello matches anything. And then the 4 of the other remaining decks simply just have the card maker's name. Let me I don't know how much you want to see these. I'm not sure how interested you guys are in seeing all of these. You might want me to skip to the quick cards. I guess I'll show them. Something you may see something that I don't say anything about or don't comment on, and it may spark you to go down a rabbit hole, even if I don't comment on it myself. But we see that 3 of them at least have the stylistic coin, a flower decoration for a coin, right? So we see it in the 3 that typically match. The Marco Benedetti deck, the Spencer deck, and the Alsigno deck. The others have coins with faces, but in keeping with the trend, the Il Meneghello Fiorentine doesn't match the Etruria of the other 2 decks. The only time that has happened so far has been with the number 4 coin card with the elephant. All right, I'm just going to flip them quickly because I think they're keeping in tune with what they've already shown us. The layout is interesting. You notice that the layout is similar, whether the coins have faces or flowers on them. At least the number 7 card has the same design. I think the others did too, basically. And notice too that when Spencer's, accommodate it with words, they didn't put the Italian words even though it's an Italian deck or it's based on an Italian deck, right? They use the English words. I don't know if they accommodated any other language, but I'm assuming not. Okay, we see the same kind of arrangement for the 9 across the board. And the 10, there is variation. The 1 card, the 1 deck, which is different in the layout, is this one, is the Minchiate Etruria by Lo Scarabeo. All the others have the configuration of, oh wait, am I on the wrong number? Oh. Now these are 9s. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay, 9, 9. This one's 10, so I got ahead of myself. Yeah, they're all the same. 9, 9, 9. Okay, the 10s are configured in the same way across the board. Okay, now we're getting to the quartz. Now the maidens of the Alsigno, the Minchiate by Marco Benedetti, and the Spencer again, as has been trending in the special Trump Triumph cards, as well as these pip cards, they all seem to be sourced from the same inspiration, which I'm guessing is the Alsigna. And the other cards, the other valid or page are women, which these were also women. So despite being a Fiorentine and these two being one being an Etruria and then the other one being an Alsigno, they seem to be on point with one another, very similar. Okay, what would typically be the knight is some type of centaur across the board. 3 of them are looking or posed in the same direction, which are the same 3 that seem to be similar. And then 2 of them, another 3 of them, again, along with the 4 of coins, which was the elephant that it had in common with the Etrurias, the Minchiate Fiorentine also has a similarity with the Etruria decks. All right, we have the queens, all with crowns, 3 standing. Again, this one's similar, although in a different direction to the others. And then the 3, which have been trending, all very similar. Richard had asked me to do a video with the quartz and comparing them as far as mythological stories go. I have forgotten a lot of my mythology, unfortunately. I used to be sharp on the mythology, but I'm not any longer. So hopefully, though, if it interests you, you go down your own rabbit hole comparing, the court cards, if you want to source them and find out who the kings might have been, or who the court cards might have been, or what references to mythology they might be referencing. But it seems pretty consistent that the ones that are similar throughout the deck, with just very few exceptions. Okay, the aces. We see crowns in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of them have crowns. So the ace of batons, and all of them have a crown. Some of them have a script, a ribbon, perhaps with lettering on it. Here the ribbon looks like the heads of snakes. Very similar to the Etruria by Il Meneghello. Very similar to the Alsigna. Interesting. This would be at some type of stamp, I presume. So, there's like anecdotal imagery that, maybe we no longer remember. We look like we have I'm not sure what kind of bird that's supposed to be, and a fox. I don't think that's just, I can't remember what that is. And we have some kind of urn. And then we have an individual above. So this definitely would have been recognized, whatever this is, would have been recognized by the audience of the times. So is that a stork and a fox? And then some type of, I don't know, hunter? But across the board, they all seem to have the same imagery. And Marco Benedetti's is crisp. You can see pretty well. I'm still not sure what this thing is. No ribbon. No ribbon. And as always, if any of my videos ever spark you to go down a rabbit hole, you know, I would appreciate it if, and if you, especially if you post it on social media, if you just give me a nod. I could use the traffic and I would appreciate it very much. Okay, the fours across the board are pretty simple. The weaving looks similar. I might have some of them upside down or in, you know, something like that. I don't know. But the interlocking or the interlacing of the batons across the board seems pretty similar. As does the 5 across the board. Some are more colorful than the others. Okay, no surprises across the board with these. All right, I'm going to cut to the chase to the 10, see how they handle the 10, since it seems like they're pretty much, okay, looks like they're handling the 10s in the same way. Pretty, very pretty. So we see in the Minchiate across the board that we have the horizontal and the vertical baton. Okay, let me just pause this and get to the, so you don't have to endure me flipping over all the 10s. I'm just going to go to the quartz. Okay, so here we have the page or the valet of batons. And all of them, even if they're a little bit different, he's got a baton in one hand and a shield in another. And then we have the Minotaur or the Centaur. I'm not sure. It almost looks like a lion's tail. Almost looks like a lion's body. Yeah, because here we have a mane. But then this one's a little more horse-like. queens, you can see, are pretty similar across the board. I'll pause and cut to the kings. Okay, for the kings, we have pretty much the same ingredients. The Etruria, one by Il Meneghello and the other by Lo Scarabeo, and the Minchiate Fiorentine by Il Meneghello are all very similar. Oh, this one is different, excuse me. So these two are more similar. These three are more similar. And then again, the Fiorentine is a little different. The Fiorentine Il Meneghello is a little different. Be interesting to see these aces of cups, and let's see what kind of cup it looks like. And some of them, they're urns. Boy, this is very heart-like, isn't it? Huh. This is very heart-like over here, the Fiorentine by Il Meneghello. Three of them have the crown, despite being different than the Etrurias. The Fiorentine by Il Meneghello does have a crown. Here they're like more like urns. This, I guess, is urn-like also, but it's a different type of urn. These are more chalice-like, these three. Oop. Something happened here. Hold on. So here we see that there's a nice variety. We have the same two being similar, the same type of urn. We have a little bit of a more elaborate urn here. I'm not really sure what's going on with these cups. I'm not really sure what they look like. Or maybe, yeah, it's kind of hard to tell what it is. Is it a cup that's on a table, or is that, the shape of the cup itself, which I guess it is. It must be just peculiar. And this, I don't know, this just has like an Etruscan look to it. Beautiful. All right, so again, we see anecdotal imagery, which we, I'm sure, would have recognized had we been people from this period of time. And some of you may know what it is, and if you do, let me know. I haven't gone down that rabbit hole. So we either have a simple representation of 3 cups, or we have the representation of 3 cups with a critter. And the 4 of cups, again, is very interesting. In 3, we have a monkey with a mirror. Which is interesting. Now, what do you think of when you see a monkey with a mirror? Well, it's probably a story that we don't remember, or at least I don't, right? Or it could be some kind of, moral fable reference. Seeing things through the eyes of something that's not quite human. The 5s are pretty similar in their layout. Let me pause it and just get to 6. Our 6s all have the same configuration. Pretty similar. Let's see what the 7s show. Well, we have a difference in the configuration with the 7s. Sorry for my arm being in the way. Now this one's quite different. So this one is not following the layout of the insignia as it has all along. It's interesting. So maybe the Six of Cups at some point was replaced. I don't know. And had to be recreated. Okay, this is 7. Oh, wait, hold on. I hate when I get confused. Okay, so now we have 7s, right? Yep. 8s. Some similarity between some of them in their layout. So there's a variety of how the 8s were laid out. Here are our 10s. So there's some variety here. I guess the only variety, I guess, in these is that the cups themselves differ, but the layout appears to be about the same. Now, whenever I get to the page or valet of cups, I always refer to the one in TDM as my boyfriend, the boyfriend card. But because we're doing an Italian deck, these are feminine. Remember that the female of the cup, the suit of cups and coins, of many of the Italian decks, including the Minchiates, were women, right? It balanced out the deck a little bit, the court cards. So we have women. So there's no boyfriend card in this comparison. I have my windows open, so I apologize for any outside noise. Okay, so again, we have now this is different. These centaurs or these minotaurs have wings, and they have like a dragon tail. So they're not quite either lion or horse as the others were. They are different. So I got this one confused. Oh, I lost my queen. It gets so confusing. I'm so sorry. It just, I have too many decks on the table. It does get confusing. And I'm looking through the lens, so I'm not really seeing as well as I should be. Okay, I think we're on the queens across the board. They all seem sort of similar. 3 are standing, 3 are seated. The 3 that are seated have some kind of flower coming out of their vase. The ones that are standing are just holding a closed vase and a scepter. Here are our kings. Again, the greatest similarity between the Minchiate Etruria of Il Meneghello and Lo Scarabeo. A similarity between the Minchiate Al Signo and Marco Benedetti's. And a difference with the Spencers. And a difference with the Fiorentine by Il Meneghello. Okay, the aces all seem to have ribbons, not necessarily in the same spot, and they all have crowns. All right, in the twos, we have another vignette, right, of two swords, some with ribbons, and a stag with a rack, right? It almost looks like a horse with a rack. It's a kind of unusual animal. This one looks like a moose. You know, it could be, I don't know, if they were fantastical, you know, or if they were really emulating a particular animal from life. With the the three, I apologize, we have, I guess would be are they Romulus and Remus, the twins, suckling at the mother animal? It could be another reference, but that's what's calling to my mind. But across the board, they're all of them are referencing that story for the Three of Swords. Okay, now we have more monkeys, I think. Is that a monkey? No. Some kind of critter reading from a source, and then a unicorn for the Four of Swords. That almost looks like a squirrel and a unicorn. Again, we look like, I don't know. I'm not sure what that thing is, and a unicorn. A squirrel and a unicorn, I wonder. After I'm done this, I'm going to look up squirrel and unicorn, see if there's a story. Yeah, I don't know what that is. So this could be an example of, you know, by the time the story passed down, they didn't quite know what this critter was. But most of them seem to be a squirrel and a unicorn. So now we have a chicken or a rooster. And I guess a predator, right? So undoubtedly it was a story that they recognized or they readily understood. Could be a fox in the hen house, but it doesn't quite look like a fox, but I don't know what. It's kind of what it reminds me of. And then we have similar interlacing. We have some kind of medallion up here. Interesting. A little variety of how the animals look. Oh, okay, so this is a peacock. And Marco has represented it as a peacock, whatever was up there. So this looks kind of feline-ish. And does this look like a peacock? Yeah, that's clearly a peacock. Not the peacock colors. Okay, so the sevens across the board are similar. I'm just going to flip them. Okay, so our eights across the board all seem to have some kind of monkey-like creature. Again, either a mirror or a ring, but he's gazing through it or into it, and a porcupine. We saw a and then whatever this is, a baby porcupine, I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. We saw a porcupine in one of the other cards that I did the other day. One of the special cards. So then, now it looked like it's either an armadillo or maybe an armadillo and some kind of hominid. Again, a monkey and a porcupine. Monkey and the armadillo. Which, again, we would have readily recognized or made the association with a story or a fable. We would have known what we were looking at. And some of you may know what it's referencing. And if you do, let me know. I just either never knew or forgot. I don't know. I'm not worried about remembering it. I'm mostly doing this video for you guys. Okay, so the 9s look similar across the board. I'm going to flip to the 10s. Okay, so for the 10s, we see a vertical and a horizontal, and the horizontal one is different in the Etruria by Il Meneghello. In the Ossigna, we see the 10s are 2 additional at the top, none are horizontal. We see in the Etruria, like the first Etruria, we have a spear, a sword and a spear. In Marco's, it's more similar to the Ossigno in that it's got the 2 at the top, and we have 2 rabbits. Let me see, did we see the rabbits over here before? Yeah, we did. I just didn't notice them. So we have 2 rabbits, vertical and horizontal, and they're both straight, although different. This one has a different hilt than the others. And now we're down to the last set of court cards. Aren't you happy? Okay, let's take a look at these. The page or the valet. Okay, now we're back to a minotaur or a centaur. It looks horse-like. Okay, now we're on the Alsigno. The Etruria by Lo Scarabeo, similar to what we're seeing. Marco's. She has a face in her chest. Did we see a face in the chest of this one? Yes, we did. It's very faint. Interesting. There it is. So there we have it, friends. The pips of the Minchiates. You know, I don't know if it particularly interested any of you, but you never know what you're going to learn or what rabbit hole you're going to be going down, you know, especially with those cards with the monkeys and the mirrors, you know. That story or that lesson may be something that's long lost, but, you know, we could come up with our own thoughts of what they might mean. Maybe seeing something through someone else's eyes, or not being as sophisticated as we think we are. You know, we're still just hominids, you know. who knows? But certainly the little vignettes that appear on these pip cards would have called to mind something that the audience of the time would have understood. And I don't think they're lost to time. I think those things are probably things we could look into if we go down the rabbit hole. I pick and choose my rabbit holes, as you probably do too, and I think I've forgotten more than a lot of people know. I don't retain everything anymore. I've been, let me flip the camera. I don't retain things, so if something like didn't, I might have gone down that rabbit hole 25 years ago, but I've forgotten it, and I don't necessarily want to keep going down the same rabbit holes. If I don't remember it, it maybe didn't interest me enough, but that's but my intent is to get you to go down your rabbit holes and to see what fascinates you, and then certainly remind me, because maybe it is something that I was interested in and I just forgot. So until next time, friends, peace and stay well.